We're live from Bootle Leisure Centre and we're really thrilled because so far we've heard from the Principal and the Chief Executive of Hugh Baird College in Bootle on how education opened doors for her, and from some A-level students on what matters to them and why politics are important, which is what we've been looking at this morning. And I'm joined now by three students who are studying vocational courses. We're joined by Rose, Hadia and Roman, and also Claire's here as well. We're going to put them through the paces, Claire, aren't we?
Well, I think we'll be kind. I mean, I just want to say what an interesting environment we're in, Kev. I know you spent a lot of time in swimming pools when you did the swimming challenge. As part of my job, I don't get to spend a lot of time in swimming pools, and it's quite tempting to get in and have a go on this water slide that's right next to us.
Yeah, have you brought your cozzy though?
No,
That's the quezzy. Right. So we've got Rose, we've got Hadia, we've got Roman as well. So Rose, starting off with you then. First of all, what are you studying?
So I'm studying Level 3 Extended Diploma Health and Social Care.
Okay, and Hadia?
I'm studying Health and Social Care.
And Roman?
I'm currently studying digital ID. Not ID. Digital IT.
Digital IT, yeah. Stay with you actually, Roman. So vocational studies then. How are they different for you, and how important are they?
Well, to be honest, they're the foundational of everything. So they are like the building blocks for my course, and I find them very important to basically to improve on my knowledge and I'm going to go out what to do in the future. I've been it's just really important, honestly. It's I have basically I don't know, sorry. But
it's all right, just gather your thoughts, Roman. Don't worry, just gather your thoughts. Hadia, a similar question to you, really. You know, vocational studies are a different, an alternative pathway. How important are they for you?
I think when I start my education and I find it very good. It helped me to improve myself. It helped me to learn new skills. That can help me to shape my future, and it's very important for me.
And come to you then, Rosie. We've spoken about vocational, but in terms of voting and in terms of elections, how important is it for you to cast your vote?
Oh, it's really important. You know, we are the future for this society, and for us to be able to get ahead, a start with our education in the area that we want to go into professionally is so important. So for us to get an insight into that really helps us to know how to vote, because we can look at, how is the system that we're going into working now? How is the healthcare system working? What funding is there? What funding is in the education system? And where our vote should lie depending on government policies.
Yeah, it's an interesting point there, Claire, isn't it? It's almost like a try and buy. What Rose is saying there, she's seeing what it's like on the coalface, and then she'll be able to make the right decisions and what to vote for.
Yeah, and I guess because these guys are doing courses that link directly to their employment or their future employment, what they want to do. So they're possibly more tuned into things like future jobs and the economy than people would be who weren't already thinking about what you want to do in future. I mean, Rose, I know we chatted off air about what issues are really important to you, and you're very passionate about special educational needs funding. Just tell us about why that matters so much to you.
So that matters not only as an observational point of view, but as a personal point of view. I am neurodiverse and I have mental health difficulties, as we all do. We all have individual needs. But the trouble is, unless you hit crisis point, or unless it is visible, unless you are sitting in a wheelchair, or unless you have walking sticks, very often the help is not supplied. Very often neurodiverse individuals mask all day, so that when they come home, they are exhausted. Masking is like a bottle of fizzy pop. You spend your whole day masking where you are shaking that bottle of pop. When you come home to a safe environment, you explode. This could be in rage, this could be in tears, this could be in exhaustion. So how are these individuals getting any quality of childhood if they are spending their day in, day out, masking to fit in with the norm, not being supported in their education setting? And there is no way of accessing early intervention unless you hit crisis point, and that needs to change. It's not good enough.
And it's not hard, is it? What you were describing there about that fizzy bottle, we can all be empathetic. We've all felt at some stage where it's just got a bit too much and we all feel like exploding. So I guess the more that we're aware and the more facilities are in place to help us, the better the will be, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. There needs to be more understanding, and I think there needs to be more awareness of masking, so that children, well, anyone who is neurodiverse feels they don't have to mask. You know, people shouldn't have to feel that they need to fit in with neurotypical people. It's observing what people are doing and finding ways that allow them to have their needs met and them to thrive, because even if an individual is classed as on target doesn't mean that they're thriving. You know, they may be reaching the target but they're not reaching their full potential. They need that support.
They'll decide when they've reached their full potential.
Exactly, it's not down to anyone else to decide, it is them who decides.
Thanks, Rosie. Hadia, you missed out this time in voting, but looking ahead to the following year, if you could cast your vote, what's important to you, why you should vote, and what would you vote for?
I think just like for young people and our society, we need more thing for young people, like to improve in our community, because young people they shape future of the community or even country. Like in our community, we need to involve young people in big decisions, such as like youth councils, like community projects, and local planning, because when young people they know like in young age about like a decision, how to make big decision or other, it can help them to improve, like to make a more like good planning like decision in the future, because they shape the country's future. That's why it is important.
Okay, thanks, Hadia. And Roman, just coming to you as well. Same question, really, about having the opportunity to vote, which is a brilliant thing to have. What are your thoughts, and what would you like to change for the decision makers out there, and how important is voting for you?
To be honest, personally, I am with the majority of people, to where I think we tend to think personally about just our own vote alone won't matter. We don't think collectively or anything like that. So I personally think voting is important, but I just don't have the motivation or just the want to do it half the time, because I think a lot of it, it can be sometimes an arduous process. It's not exactly taught or anything like you need to do. You just maybe get taught by your parents or by just a random relative. You don't really get taught the meaning or the importance of why voting would matter.
Thanks, Roman. That's an interesting point, Claire, isn't it? Is the educational system, are our schools doing enough? Are we educating our young adults enough to vote and know the importance of that?
Well, it's not a compulsory part of the curriculum. I think there is some sort of citizenship that young people get taught in PHSE in school at some point, but I think it's very vague as to whether it is actually how it's structured. And I think we hear it time and again from young people, as Roman said, that the nuts and bolts of how our democracy works isn't really taught. And I guess it's quite difficult for some schools to teach it in an impartial way, because we all bring our personalities to politics. And it's hard, as Roman says, lots of times you hear about politics from a relative who's interested and they foist their opinions onto you, and then you get to the ballot box and you think, oh, am I thinking for myself? We were talking earlier in the show about where people get their information from, so I'd love to ask you guys, where do you find out about politics? Is it TikTok? Is it chatting to a relative? Is it listening to the BBC, watching Sky? Where is it, Rose? Where do you find out what's going on?
So I'm not a big social media person. I'm not really into it. I find my news from the radio. I like to watch debates, and I like to watch Question Time, and I will watch I'll watch the news as well.
Okay, so where you're getting your source of information from is spot on. Hadia, what about you?
Yeah, I watch most of the time. I watch BBC News. Like it's important, like when we watch, we can get new information about community, about country, and about the world, and that's why I watch every time to get new information or what's going on in our community or in our country.
And same question for you, Roman, where do you get your news from?
Honestly, I get my news from multiple sources. Normally it could be, but my main one is probably YouTube. I do watch a lot of videos, either people summarising what is being taught in Congress or what is being taught by the Prime Minister. Although I do occasionally watch the morning on BBC just to see what's there. It's usually, though, problem is due to college hours, I might not be able to watch it all, but I do occasionally watch BBC on the radio mainly.
So the platform is YouTube, social media, but your information is via the BBC, is that right?
Occasionally. So I don't normally go straight from the BBC. I do tend to watch a couple third-party people who have... Obviously, I do take it with a grain of salt, because the media is a big there's a lot of truths and lies being told there. But I do mainly take it if it's backed up by multiple sources. I do my extra own information if I want to, actually.
Thanks, Roman. I think now's probably a good point, Claire, isn't it, for anybody listening? Where is the best source of information? Where should we go?
And well, obviously, I would say the BBC, but with local information, I think it's really hard when you're looking at local politics, because everywhere is different. Every council ward is different. The issues on your doorstep are different. Finding that information, finding the truth, it might be that you get a leaflet through the door and that's it. So, I think it's very difficult for young people particularly to work out what the different political parties are offering them for the issues on their doorstep that matter to them. There aren't many YouTubers or TikTokers in local communities doing that kind of content. Obviously, we do plenty of it, but it's meeting the audience where they are and for young people to find the stuff that matters to them. And I think local elections, local politics hasn't quite found that yet. And I think that is really interesting. Obviously, these guys are all really engaged and, have an interest and know about fake news and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not sure that everybody of their age does. And I think that is a problem for politics going forward, that if you're looking on Instagram and you like certain videos, then those kind of videos are going to come up. And unless you say, hang on a minute, what's the other side saying, you might never see that other perspective. Yeah, it is really interesting. One other thing I just wanted to pick up on is when I was chatting to these guys before you, Kev, they were talking about some of the issues, and I mentioned being able to afford to buy or rent in the place, and Roman sort of rolled his eyes and clutched his forehead and said never. I mean, Roman, just tell us a bit about that, because obviously, I don't know if you want to stay living in Bootle or where you see your future, but is the affordability of housing something that's really important to you?
To be honest, I do. It is really important to me. I mean, I've done my own little bit of research. I have noticed about the housing crisis all around the UK. And honestly, to be personally, I don't think it's going to be going away anytime soon. I mean, honestly, I really would like to afford a house in the future. I would like to be independent on my own, just live my own life. But honestly, with the amount of and how high rent is, how high mortgages are, I don't really see myself buying a house definitely in the nearby future. I'll probably at least almost maybe be retirement by the time I get one.
And that's an issue right across the country, isn't it? I mean, obviously the new land laws are coming in from the 1st of May, so that will benefit the renters a lot. But, is there a way that we can make it easier for people?
I guess, the government would say it's trying to build lots and lots and lots of housing, which comes with its own issues, because lots of times when a housing application goes in, it might be on a green site, people don't want to lose that, or it might be in a place where people really don't want to live. I mean, Rose, is that something that you think about, like what your next sort of stage is? Can you afford to move out and live on your own?
I mean, I'm 20 now, and I would love to be able to move out, to have my own place, but it's just not practical, like financial wise. It's so hard for mortgages, so hard to prove you've got good credit. It is so hard. And the trouble with renting is that when you're young, you can't save when you're renting, because you're essentially throwing money away.
I'm paying your student debt off, probably.
Well, and exactly, yeah. So there are so many barriers in the way to financial security in terms of housing, and it's really tricky. And I agree with Roman. I think we could be post 40s by the time we are able to own a house. And
okay, well, just to round off with them, we've already listened to a little bit about what you're doing, Rosie, but if you were to put it in a nutshell, what would your ambition be, and what is it that you want to do?
So I want to be a psychologist. I want to support individuals with mental health needs and special educational needs. I want to be able to listen and provide support. I want to be involved in therapy and counselling, and
Well, I'm sure with all of your passion, you're certainly going to make that happen, Rose, definitely. And Hadia, what about you? What's the ambition? What's the goal to look forward to?
When I was a little girl, it was my dream to become a politician. I come from a country that girls can't study, and it's my dream to be a politician, to protect human rights and to help refugees that to help them to study, to improve, especially girls, because they need the most, and then just protect human rights and support. And that's my dream.
Brilliant. Well, good luck with your dream. And Roman, finally to you, what would your ambition be? What would your dream be?
To be honest, I just want a simple ambition to live on my own and live a happy life, honestly. I don't really have a pure goal I want to reach, really. I'm still on the benches of what I want to do in the future. I'm just really down the IT. That's all I know.
Well, it's brilliant. It's great to meet you all. Thank you, Roman. Thank you, Hadia. And thank you, Rose, as well.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well.
Thank you very much indeed. Again, more excellent students from the Hugh Baird College here on BBC Radio Merseyside.